One thing that drives me nuts when it comes to martial arts and self defense is when we make absolute statements about techniques or styles or systems or whatever. Absolute statements are not true because nothing is absolute. And don't get me wrong, I've been guilty of doing the same thing. Sometimes I find myself saying things like, if you do this, this will happen. And nobody actually knows what will happen in the chaos of a fight, how somebody will react to whatever it is, whatever technique you're trying to do. But we talk as if it is just absolute, as if it is law. Now, this also happens with the negative side of things, too. I hear a lot of guys saying, you'll never do this in a fight, and you'll never do that in a fight. One example is disarms. People will tell me, like, you're never going to disarm. But my friend John, who is a law enforcement officer, has disarmed 2 knives and 1 stick in the line of duty. Now, if he can do it, you can do it. And I'm not saying it's because of his training that he was able to do it, because there's no way we can draw a line from action to training, because you just never know. John may just be wired to be able to do stuff like that. John may just be one of those people who is a natural warrior. I've met a few of them, and they really do exist. But that doesn't actually change the fact that if somebody can perform it under pressure in real life, then anyone can, theoretically, in the right situation, maybe even with the right training or the right mindset. I believe mindset's probably the most important thing when it comes to this stuff. Now, don't get me wrong. There are some things that I absolutely don't believe in. No touch knockouts, for instance. I don't believe in that. I think it is a form of hypnosis and suggestion and cultish. But if we look at something like an eye gouge, there are many people who will tell you that will work every time. And there are many others that say that shit doesn't work. And the real truth is in between both of those statements. The thing about eye gouges and dirty fighting tactics is that if you use them and you don't know how to fight, well, it may not turn out the way you thought it would if you are dealing with somebody who's a fighter, or at least has a fighter's makeup, a fighter's mentality. You know, like I said, in my opinion, your state of mind, your mindset is what matters the most. But I know people who have used eye gouges effectively, very effectively, in fact. I also know people who have thumbed someone in the eye, and the guy just pushed into his thumb to get at him. So you can never have an expectation of what is going to work and what is going to fail. All you can do is understand what is higher percentage, what is more likely to work, and what is less likely to work. Use your knowledge and opinions on that to plan out your training time accordingly. Do I want to spend time doing this, or do I want to spend time doing something that may be a little more likely for you to be able to pull off under real pressure? Unfortunately, up until the advent of the UFC and the growth of MMA, a lot of what people believed about martial arts was based on mythology. And a lot of people still believe in these mythological ideals about martial artists. I remember when I was training, and I didn't understand that, if you're going to spar, you're going to get hit. Not all of us can have the fight IQ of a fighter like Buakaw or Mayweather. And even if we did, things might be different when you're playing outside of the rules of their sport. Things may be different if you involve weapons like knives or clubs and sticks and these kinds of things. A lot of variables happen when it comes to actual self-defense that aren't replicated in sport. But that doesn't mean that the sport fighter isn't going to kick ass when they are countering violence outside of the ring or cage. But a lot of people will tell you that because they don't train for dirty fighting will beat them. And this is so ridiculous. However, this also doesn't mean that it won't help you when it comes to countering a trained fighter.
That shit happens.
When it comes to the idea that this will work, that won't work, this is going to happen if you do this, they're going to go here, if you hit here, they'll put their hands here. All of this stuff that you hear martial artists say, take it with a grain of salt. Take it with the idea that you have no idea how somebody's going to react to getting hit by you. You have no idea how somebody's going to react to whatever dirty boxing move you're using. You have no idea that you're going to be able to disarm a weapon under pressure. But by having skills, you may be able to adapt. You may be able to affect the disarm. You may be able to do what people tell you is impossible. And also, what they tell you will work may not work. You have to be prepared for that. The best thing anyone who coaches martial arts or self-defense can give you about a technique is, hey, this will have an effect. It might have an effect. Anyway, check out my Patreon. Have a good day.